Good evening. I'm Loundon Flaherty. I'll start with a quote. Muhammad Ali once said that service is the rent we pay for the privilege of living here on earth. And while I don't think he was talking about the current housing market, he gave words to something profound, that we are all here together today and we get to be and do more is a gift unto itself. And for anyone who has experienced pain in their lifetime, the opportunity to turn that pain into purpose is perhaps the greatest gift of all. Now, I know that the topic we're about to talk about is tough, but I believe in having conversations about intimate violence in safe spaces like this because of the incredible impact they can have on everyone to grow and learn from trauma. I'm here because domestic violence is still one of the most taboo topics we can talk about in public, and yet it's a topic that has almost certainly happened to someone listening. If not to you, then to someone you love. Because by the numbers, 1 in 3 people on the planet will experience intimate violence in their lifetime. Look at the person to your left and to your right. One of you has been or will be that statistic. That number translates to more than 700 million people on the planet. That's double the population of the United States. It's 10 times the population of the UK. So let it sink in one last time. Even if you have not experienced abuse, someone you know has, will, or is going through it now. What are we going to do about it? I'll tell you. But first, I want everyone to feel safe here today. For me, that means 3 things. Suffering isn't a scorecard. It's not a pain Olympics, and none of us are going to win a medal today. I'm no longer anyone's emotional punching bag, and I don't expect anyone to be mine. So it's not a story of anger. It's a story about resilience. And finally, my story is just one manifestation of violence. There are so many others that are just as, if not more, devastating. You may feel strongly as I share some more details about my background. I know I do when I share it. If you're triggered, we'll be sure to share resources as we talk. So here's my unlikely story. It starts on a Buddhist commune in New Hampshire where the abuse of women and children was widely practiced. It's the place that arranged the marriage of these 2 deceptively happy faces. That's my mom and my dad. Now, my mother did find the courage to leave my father after years of physical and emotional violence to her and to my siblings. And this is a picture of the day she left him, that very day, with just a few $100s and 4 children to care of. I'm the little kid in the middle, in the front. She remarried years later, and unfortunately, my stepfather wasn't much better, although he was better at not leaving marks. But she found the strength to leave him too. Part of my story that I struggle with the most is actually when I perpetuated the cycle of violence myself in a relationship in my 20s. I had all the tools to see it coming, and yet I missed almost every single sign until it was almost too late. Typical of partners who reveal abusive tendencies later, he was one of the most overtly charming people I'd met. It was just a matter of weeks, though, before our first lover's quarrel. We were at a party, and a friend gave me a platonic kiss on the cheek. But my boyfriend exploded and stormed out of the room. Later, his excuse was, because I love you. Now, it wasn't all unhappy for us then. We went out for dinner and drinks with friends like normal couples, as you can see. It seemed like love should have been enough to fix the problems we had. But love isn't always enough. The blow-ups continued, getting worse so slowly as to be almost imperceptible. I kept waiting for the person I'd fallen in love with to come back, but he never returned. By the end of our relationship, he was flat out verbally abusive. His possessiveness had cut me off from all our friends. His cycles of exploding and making up were so close together, there was barely good times and bad times. And I had gotten so used to holding my pain and denying it that I was just numb. And then one day, he pushed me in his doorway, hard. His unkind words were on the brink of becoming physically violent. Perhaps he would have never hit me again, but I will never know, because what happened next changed my life. My mom had shared an article with me about something called the hotline. I called the number. I found the words to name what was happening to me and ultimately leave. This is just one of the resources I've used since then to get or give help. I'm not gonna lie, the time that followed was really, really hard. Therapy, meditation, and exercise all started to give me the tools to self-regulate. And volunteer work started to give my pain a purpose. I rebuilt myself, and I rebuilt myself better. The best part is that my story has a happy ending. I met the love of my life 11 years ago, and we have 3 beautiful, healthy kids, 5 and under. We have a life I could not have dreamed of deserving years ago. It is pinch me good. And as for my past, these experiences shouldn't have happened to me. But I'm glad they did, because they made empathy my superpower. We can make sure that they don't happen to anyone, which is why I want to introduce you to Denise. The work that One Love does and that we can all support, for me, answers the question posed by the late and great poet Mary Oliver, who once asked, "What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" The answer, for me, is paying unlimited rent. Here's Denise to talk about how we can all learn to love better.